Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Well, today I want to talk to you more about this Desert Eagle 3. I've been finding out some interesting things. Okay, so we do know that the wheels are actually bead locked, so they got that right. The front and rear shocks are not really hobby grade shocks. Everything about them looks hobby grade until you actually try and put some oil in them. And then it pisses out everywhere. And no, I'm not missing any parts out of my shocks. I checked all that stuff and it's all good. And so, I mean, you would think that they would actually be true hobby grade shocks, but apparently not. So, don't go try filling these shocks with oil, because it ain't going to go well for you. Now, as far as the way the transmission is put together, which is the reason why I took mine apart today, if you watch my video when I took this thing extreme rock crawling at the Feiyue Falls, I had that one spot where I got stuck that I had to gun the crap out of this thing in order to avoid from going over the edge. Anyways, somehow my slipper got backed off and I thought I burnt it out or something happened, who knows. But anyways, definitely all ball bearings, you know, and this is the interesting part. It is all ball bearing in this thing. You know, so I mean, they told the truth out of pretty much everything except for the fact of the shocks are not hobby grade shocks whatsoever. I just tried filling one of my front shocks up with oil and yeah, pisses everywhere and no way to even stop it. And the way they put the shock together, there is no way you could even put O-rings in there to keep the oil in. So, yep, not hobby grade at all. But they do have, you know, metal shaft, they got the metal cap, they got the metal thread. They got the metal bottom part on the plastic body, but yeah, they're just not hobby grade. Really stiff springs on the front, which I'm going to suspect the rear is going to be the same. So if you want to get rid of all that little bling, bling, bling bouncing, you're going to have to add some preload. So twist those collars. Now, as far as this transmission goes, though, I took it apart. Nothing wrong with it, it seems. Other than you can tell it got spun a little bit, you know, but it didn't hurt the slipper pad any, so we're all good there. But this cap cover is a real bugger to put back on, and you gotta actually put it on with a little bit of slack, otherwise it jams the transmission right up. So I can turn this by hand freely, so I'm good to go. If you tighten this screw here too much, it's gonna suck it in too far. And you also, like I said, it's tricky because you gotta snap twist it into place to get it to seat right. So what I did is I put a little bit of crazy glue in here, and because I created a bit of play here, and then I crazy glued into the thread area in here so that the screw would stay. It's just a cap cover, so it's not a big deal, but I wanted to make sure that it didn't fly apart under a lot of use. So the crazy glue is going to help keep the screw in there. So this transmission, after taking it all apart and everything, I'm finding that it's really not the best design there is out there. Although it is nice, and this is still an entry-level hobby grade machine, it's strictly entry-level, okay? But to tighten down the slipper, what I had to do was jam one of the Allen keys into one of the holes on the shaft that moves your back end. And then you just take like a cordless drill or a wrench, but I use the cordless drill and I just manually twist it until it's really super tight. Okay, this hopefully will stop my slipping, okay? Because it was like, oh man, I want to go cut a video for you guys today, right? And then I start cutting the video and I noticed, man, this thing's slipping again. And it looked like it was really tight, you know? And when I got it in, it was pretty tight. It didn't slip, you know, when I first, you know, ran the crap out of this thing. It was fine until, like I said, the Feiyue Falls. So I was like, interesting. Let's take it apart and see if maybe I stripped something. Setting the mesh, there's trickiness for you. The cap has to be off of here, and obviously everything has to be mounted. So you have to take the cap off. You got to twist the motor, and in order to achieve setting your mesh, you actually have to back this screw off here, this one here, and of course you got to back off this one here. So there's 3 screws here that have to be backed off, and then once you get it all back together, just make sure you tighten them all back up. Now I've already got my main clamp down area one all done, so we're all good there. There we go, so that's all done. But, and you use the paper trick. Okay, now I still have the speed gear in here because I want this thing for running fast with, not slow. Okay, so it's like, I'll leave the speed gear in, you know. And of course I threw some lithium grease into the gearbox. They had what appeared to look like Vaseline in this thing, which is kind of stupid, but whatever. Lube is lube, I guess, for these things. But yeah, not the nicest design, but it does function. Now, I found something else out interesting. The drive shafts here, okay, you know, you see where it's like painted gray? Actually, turns out it's not paint after all. Not that I can tell because it's not coming off, so. But anyway, I found out these are actually metal. Okay, so these silver pieces are actually metal, and they're screwed into plastic hub collars, okay? And of course you got your slip-on one here. And they're actually pretty meaty, you know, so that's not too shabby. But these collars are actually metal. I thought they were plastic. They look like plastic, you know, because hey, it is just a cheap toy, you know. Even though it's, like I said, it's entry hobby grade. There's a lot of metal on this truck though, which is surprisingly awesome. You got metal in here, you've got the metal on the shaft pieces, like I said, metal bracket here, full ball bearings throughout. The differential up front is apparently metal according to what I've read about. Same with the rear diff, it's going to be all metal. Your pieces in here, of course, are all plastic gears using a aluminum pinion gear. So just a bit of info for you guys so you know more about what's going on with this sucker. I got to get that all back together properly too. Lots of challenging fun there. I think I'll just remove these shocks. But anyways, so yeah, so no hobby grade shocks after all. Kind of sucks, but that's the way she goes. You can put hobby grade shocks on. Just measure the length and diameters of these ones here, and just go out and get yourself some hobby grade ones, and you know, swap them on, and you can improve it that way. I don't know if the company is going to do any kind of real metal upgrades for this machine, but even with the wheel size, I mean, you can size those up and get, you know, hobby grade metal rimmed bead locks. You know, these tires are actually pretty nice and grippy. I've had no issues with the grip on them, they've been good. But such is that. That's today's story for you guys on this machine. Now, somebody also, just as an extra for you, they make a short course truck, this company, as well as what looks a lot like a small version of a Telluride, okay? They're all the exact same chassis. They just change a little bit here and a little bit there for setups for shocks and, you know, front end and all that. And of course they, you know, they get rid of this skid plate and they put a bumper in there and that sort of jazz. Same transmission, same, you know, servo and ESC type of thing, and same deal, not waterproof, you know, so try not to get it wet if you can help it, you know. But I don't think it would take much to really, you know, water resist this thing. It would just be a matter of sealing all this stuff off with either hot glue or even plastic dip. But I mean, this connector here towards the very back, that's your power switch, so you don't want to mess with that, you know. But otherwise, yeah, rock and roll. Anyway, that's it for now. We'll catch you guys on the next video, and have fun.